Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on the Omega Broadcasting Network, presenting to you the Lead and the Live program on behalf of the EMYLL LLC, which is educating men and youth how to lead and live. So last week we talked about a couple of things when it comes to leadership, thinking of next level leadership and also that next level thinking. And last week we talked about what is leadership, the myth about leadership, and leadership beginning with us. Knowing that leadership starts with ourselves. We have to lead ourselves before we talk about leading others. We also talked about the fact that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. We also talked about the fact that leading people requires you to love people. So love being the greatest attribute of leadership. So I also want to say that last week I talked about behavior styles that can help one get to that next level. And I listed 4 behavior styles, but mentioned that there were 3. So I want to say thank you for my listeners, my followers, and my supporters who brought this to my attention. I want to make that corrected today. There are 4 behavior styles: controller, entertainer, thinker, and a feeler. And these styles can come in any specific order. None is greater than the other. And we're going to dissect those specific styles a little bit later on. So remember this, as a leader, one thing one should acknowledge: you will always get feedback. You will always get criticism. People will always want to give you some type of encouragement, or other words, things that you can actually change. So if you're not open to those feedback, I want you to start preparing yourselves and also consider them. All right. So as me, I want to say again, thank you for the feedback. And always continue to bring them. I've also had supporters mention the fact of having the opportunity to ask questions while we're on here on the air. We're going to get there. I'm giving you a little bit of meat and potatoes at this time so we can have something to have some discussion about. So we're going to open up the lines, in moment time, where we can have that dialect between myself and you guys as supporters and those who are listening. So let's talk today about those behavior styles. Remember, leading begins with us. Leading starts with ourselves. So the 4 behavior styles again are controller, entertainer, feeler, and thinker. Now, the DISC Classic, which is what I use with organizations or one-on-one coachings to actually talk about and identify these behavior styles, is one that I use on a consistent basis. But in the DISC, the actual verbiage that is used is dominance, influence, compliance, and steadiness. And I break those down into layman terms just for it's easier for an individual to understand. When we say someone is dominant, we're saying they're a controller. When we say someone is influential, we're saying they're an entertainer. When we say someone is compliant, they're a thinker. And when someone is steadiness or steady, we say that they're a filler. So let's break these down a little bit and talk about where do you fall, right? Because it's important. What behavior style are you? We've all been created with each of these 4 behavior styles, but predominantly operate in one. Now, I must say, when the parent in me kicks in, I have to be a controller every now and then. Hey, this is what we're doing. This is what needs to happen. This is what you're going to wear because this is what we're going. That's when the controller steps in, right? But I fully and I predominantly function in an entertainment style. So let's talk about these behavior styles. A controller. The characteristics of a controller is one who is strong-willed, forceful, has a sense of urgency, they're task-oriented, and for them to get the results, at times they'll step outside of the team and try to get whatever it is that they need to get done. Now, the work approach for a controller is their bottom line focus. They're willing to confront others to get the job done. They're decisive, and again, concerned with efficiency and time in getting those results. Now, think of it. Are you that controller? An entertainer. The characteristics of an entertainer is energetic. They get excited easily. They're creative. They get bored easily depending on what is being shared with them, but then they enjoy new and different challenges. Their approach to work is they try to motivate and influence others to get the job done. They express their ideas and opinions in regards to making sure they're part of the team. They're quick decision makers, but in the midst of that, they also will make a change to actually make sure that whatever is it they need to get done, they'll get it done. Are you that entertainer? Now our feelers, the characteristics. One who is loyal, likable, understanding, cooperative, willing to be of service, patient, and empathetic. The approach to work for a filler, they are strong team builders. They build relationships to get the job done. They're always looking at a win-win situation for each other who is a part of that specific group. They hate conflicts. Are you that filler? Then we have our thinkers. The characteristics of a thinker is one who is a good planner. They're persistent and steady. They're good with follow-through information. Good at setting up systems and procedures to get the job done. What is the approach to work for a thinker? They gather information further than anyone else before trying to resolve. The thinker is one who you have to dot their I's and cross their T's. They want the facts. They want the data. They study and analyze information before making decisions. Are you that thinker? Again, when you understand this behavior style, it will help you to put yourself in position to actually enhance relationships and to get others to move to that next level. Here's when I talk about tying the two together when we talk about personal and we talk about professional and linking both. Last week I mentioned the fact that if you have them separated and when they fall, at times it will take someone a huge amount of time depending on that behavior style to recover. So let me give you some examples from my experience. I remember in college when I dated, there was one relationship that this young lady she was smart, she was beautiful, but things were just not working out. When I went over there, I would crack a joke or try to be, a little bit relaxing, and she was just stern. This is not the time for joke. Now me, the Caribbean guy in me, every now and then I'll try to do something that was spontaneous, and it just wouldn't work. Years later on, when I looked back and I look at those behavior style, I discovered that she was a controller. In the moments when I unveiled, in the moments when I turned the lights off, in the moments when it's just her and I and no one else, and I want to be Pete, I'm an entertainer. For her, it was a controller. So the mix of those two behavior styles, not saying they can't work, because I work well with controllers on the job. I do have some controllers in my family in regards to, yes, this is just their style and how can we communicate. But in regards to the rest of my life spending with an individual, I have to consider that behavior style. Years later on, it happened again. But I was able to pick up on the style quicker because now I've been exposed to these behavior styles. I'm like, nah, this is not going to work, because I understand that when I unveil and when that a person unveil, the two styles just did not clash at that specific moment in regards to us moving forward as a family. So this is why I mentioned that when you look at these behavior styles, even from a personal perspective and from a professional perspective, right? If you understand them and how they operate, you can enhance relationships for the next level. So for me, it just didn't work when we actually talk about putting the two behavior styles, controller and the entertainer, together when we talk about relationship to that next level. Now, I'm not saying it can't work. I don't want to discourage anyone to say that if you're a controller and your spouse is an entertainer, that, hey, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying, hey, when you consider those things as you begin, just think of them before you actually make that commitment. If you're already there, that's fine, because there's compromisation, and I believe through God everything is possible. But again, when we talk about leading, when we talk about living, when I'm talking about being who I am, before we actually talk about leading people, we have to consider these things. All right? So let's talk about the other styles that are actually compatible with each other. Right? So when we look at a feeler works very well with an entertainer. Because a feeler, again, hates conflicts. They are uncomfortable around aggressive people, and they do great lengths to avoid conflicts, as I mentioned before. A thinker works very well with a controller. Again, like I said, a controller is going to give all the information that they need. They're going to consider the actual data because they're very focused and they're time efficient. So they're going to give the thinker everything that they need. so that thinker can make that specific decision and also be able to function in that specific behavior. So the thinkers are turned off by hype, exaggerations, and excitements without facts. Please, if you know somebody who is a thinker, I have a few of them who are on my team, and I enjoy working with them. But whenever I'm communicating, I make sure, hey, Pete, do you have all the facts? Do you have all the data? And if you don't, when you go to the individual, say that, hey, here's the information that I have, but this is all I have so far. I'm going to actually come back with more information, or I don't have any more. I'm relying on you to help me to actually receive that information. And it would allow them to actually, slip into that mindset to like, hey, this is what I need to do to actually move the needle to get the results that we need. And this is how you'll understand the folks that you work with, your family members, that you'll be able to communicate at an effective level. And again, when you understand these things, it would enable you to lead, communicate, and enhance relationships to get you to that next level. So the DISC Classic is one that I actually provide through one-on-one coachings. I actually got hired by a company recently to provide the DISC Classic, and when I went in and we did some observations, it was surprising that a lot of people, they provide this specific characteristics, but deep inside, the behavior style is different. Here's what I mean. There was an individual within that corporation where the perception was given that they're a thinker, but the behavior style within themselves was a controller. So they were actually not functioning in the full capacity of who they are. And after discussion, we found out that the person was not truly happy at what they were doing because they were not functioning in that specific style. Now, I got an update last weekend in regards to that specific organization, which shared that since we did that DISC Classic, one, productivity within the organization has improved by 25%. That's due to the fact of people understanding their styles and communicating at that level. And people feel happier. People are showing up to work with a different mentality in regards to understanding, hey, this is who I am. This is how I communicate. This is how I can get the results. These are the individuals who I work with and the behavior styles that they are. And again, we talked about it last week. Everyone is a leader, leading in that capacity in which regards they sit. So think about it. What style am I? What behavior style is it that I live in and dwell in? Am I that controller? Am I that thinker? Am I that feeler? Or am I that entertainer? And lastly, what I want to leave you with. As you think of those styles, here's the one thing you also have to consider. My behavior style can somewhat be different than my leadership style. For example, I'm an entertainer, but my leadership style is transformational. I strive to take individuals to that next level. Because once they get to that next level or work into that next level, they'll help me to accomplish the desired vision and the goal that I have as well. So as you think of these behavior styles, next week we're going to talk about what are those different leadership styles as well that we can link to our behavior styles to help get us to that next level. Again, you can reach us online at Pete Kennedy on Facebook, or on Instagram you can reach us at Pete Andre Ken. Or you can email us at leademyll@gmail.com, or you can give us a call, text, or WhatsApp at 954-997-4694. Remember, lead and live. Join us next week on the EMYLL program at Lead and Live. Thank you again, and God bless you all.